Hey everyone, check out this secretary desk that I'm going to be working on today. It's in excellent condition. It's missing a little knob, no problem. I'm going to replace all of this hardware. So I'm going to kind of go all out on this piece. I'm going to do quite a few different things. So first off, what I'm going to do is clean it. Quite obviously, it needs a thorough cleansing. And I'm going to remove this hardware. And then I'm going to go ahead and use Bondo to seal this up and make it just one plain face drawer that will be like this. The magic of Bondo is endless. You can do so much with it. It will definitely fill in these gaps, no problem. And I will also go ahead and fill some of these hardware holes because we're going to be using new hardware and the holes are going to be different than these ones. After that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this new stencil that I have. It's beautiful. It's a Kacha stencil by Redesign with Prima. It's so gorgeous. So I'm going to be using that stencil on this piece just to give it a little more oomph, a little more pizzazz, a little more beauty. So all the prep work is done. I can start stenciling. So it's thoroughly cleaned. I bondoed the drawers and sanded them down. They're outside. I'm going to be using Modern Masters texture effects for the raised stencil. This took me 2 days to do, about 10 to 12 hours of work here. Part of the reason why it took so long is because I had to be strategic. So with the texture medium that I used, it takes a bit of time to dry unless it's really hot. Right now it's pretty cold where I am, so it took a long time to dry. And you know, the stencil is only so big, so I could do one portion and then I'd have to wait for this portion to dry so I could do the following portion. One thing that I want to mention that is very important, I did sand down the whole texture medium, and I made sure that the stencil is as smooth as possible so there are no sharp edges sticking out. And also, in case there's one portion where I laid a bunch of texture medium down, I wanted it to kind of get down to the same size. I'm going to leave the hardware on while I paint. I want the hardware on while I paint because I want the hardware to, in essence, blend with the whole piece. Portion is complete. Before we move on, I want to just take a moment and share something with you. So when I first started doing furniture makeovers, I would just, grab my paints, my materials, and play with everything that I had the desire to work with. And that was really fun. I learned a lot. And that's not a good thing to do when you want to create something really specific. So I had an idea of what I wanted to do with this piece, and I've just been very strategically moving forward. One thing that I think is a very valuable thing to do when you're doing furniture makeovers is just take some time and play with your paints, which is what I did last night and created this. It's extremely ugly, very raw, but it gave me a very good idea of what direction I wanted to go with in regard to painting. So I really like this corner over here. I like the darker brown tones, not so purpley, but just a little splash of purple here and there with the pink highlights, pink and flamingo highlights, as we will see moving forward. So again, very ugly, but very important to do so that I have a good idea of how I want to move forward. And also this will help you eliminate wasting your products in case you have an idea that you realize, oh, this is not actually what I should be doing. So it's a very useful thing to do. and paint. So as you can see, I've left the top and the inside part brown. I'm gonna just leave it nice and plain, and I'm gonna play with colors on everything else. What I was really specifically going for with this purple and brown mess of paint is to just cover the whole piece. Now I can really start playing with colors. So what I'm gonna do is make a wash with the brown, and then I'm gonna throw a little bit of pink, a little bit of the flamingo on there, and I'm going to just tone it down and spruce it up all at once. this piece. I think it's absolutely gorgeous, definitely stunning. It took so much work, hours and hours of work, but it was definitely worth it. I really love how when you look at this piece, especially in actual real life, it's more difficult to see on camera, but there's just this subtlety to the brown. You see like these various little pockets of pink, peach, purple popping out. It's really, really subtle yet gorgeous. The gold on the stenciling dolls it up perfectly. I love this piece. It's a very practical, functional piece of art. What do you think about this piece? Do you like the color scheme, the design? Do you like how I flattened out this top drawer in order to be able to put the stenciling on and have the pattern continuously flow? Thank you very much for joining me, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.